start in 1 minute, folks. Just allowing people time to come in. Sarah, so we're gonna know that you'll get everybody else in that comes in because we're gonna start in a minute. Greetings, 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 greetings. And I'm seeing my people up in here this morning. I think this is the first time I've seen so many sacred leaders on. Usually we have everybody else. So it's good. It's good. It's beautiful to see you. Always, Marsha. And I don't think we've seen you before on here. So welcome. Marcella, welcome back. Hemi, Athora, Kemba, welcome, welcome, welcome. I want us to start with just some beautiful, lovely, gentle, cleansing breath, bringing all of our attention to ourselves, to our highest selves. And we breathe to our own rhythm, allowing maybe a cycle of three to just take that beautiful breath in and breathe into your own rhythm. Welcoming all the elements that support us, and especially the yamis, the mothers, the great mothers of the universe. Inhale, come with us. And welcome, 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 welcome. And so, I am in Toronto. Folks may be joining us from different places. Here in Toronto, we are on Indigenous lands of diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. I always feel, as a woman of African descent, that I have a responsibility to be in good relations with people who are the owners and stewards of this land. And we're coming up on Truth and Reconciliation Day on Monday. Yes, on Monday. So want to just remind us that there can't be any reconciliation without truth. So as we tell truth, we experience reconciliation. And so much love to our Indigenous uh, siblings wherever you are. I want to pour libation this morning. Yes, yes, yes. I am using Jamaican white rum because that's kind of what my ancestors are asking for this morning. They're like, put the gin down. No, 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 no. Let's get some white rum in here. And if you know anything about white rum, it's foolproof. It's a lot. Our ancestors see things like alcohol as medicine and not to be abused, not to hurt us. And we use this for medicine. It's part of our medicine because we know that alcohol never goes bad. So always as we pour, we're pouring knowing that whatever we're doing, whatever our intent, whatever our desire, who we are, will never ever go bad. And so this morning, especially, I want to pour libation for our African ancestors, millions and millions, tens of millions of them, who were captured from their land, stolen from their land, and then put into enslavement right across the Western Hemisphere. And many of them, almost 400,000 of them who settled in the Americas where I am stand. So ancestors, those ancestors I pour and say, drink and quench your thirst. May we never forget, never ever forget them. I pour libation also and give thanks for the ancestors that were long before me, long before us, who were attempting and intending to bring peace to themselves, but also peace to the lives of African peoples everywhere uh, through Black liberation movements. And we pour. We
Ashe.
pour for our recent ancestors, many of them who have crossed over, many of our own ancestors. I know for me, there are ancestors in my lineage that walk with me, especially on this journey. So I pour for my great grandmother Testa, and for Silda, and for Veronica, and for Mama, and for my auntie Mama Vadney. And I pour and I say, come and stay with me. If you feel open and you feel willing, call the name of your ancestors as we pour. You can call them in your heart, of course, or you can come off mute and call their names.
Mabayam.
Yes.
Bob's.
And we pour.
Mary.
Princess
Susan
Doll.
Seaton.
Yes. And ancestors.
Brother T.
Yes. Ancestors, if we have not called your name, it's not because we have forgotten you. You're probably just not immediately on our tongues. We are so, so, so grateful, and we honor your walk on this planet. And we ask the good spirits to come and be with us in this conversation that we're having today about women bringing inner peace to self so that we can experience peace in this world, peace in our families, peace in our communities, peace. Hello, four-legged. Hello, four-legged. What's the name of that four-legged, Marcella? Who has come and decided to be with us?
His name is Nino.
Ah, Nino. You hang on with
Nino.
Nino. Stay with us. Stay with us. We are welcoming four-legged animals for sure, four-legged beings. So listen, for those of you who have been us, we've been seeing women. Sometimes there are many women on. I think this is the smallest group we've seen. So Sarah, I think it's the Facebook thing that has frightened folks. And people are coming on. So hopefully they're joining us on Facebook and it's all good. But I want to just bring to our attention this movement for this international Women for Peace movement is really an intentional movement grounded in women empowerment, grounded in womanism and feminism through unconditional love. Our intention really is to create a culture of peace in homes, in communities, in cities, and across the world by supporting women to find and experience internal peace so that they may be empowered to really be themselves in their fullness. We started this, our first circle was in March this year, and we're going to go until March next year. And we intend to bring more and more and more women. Our intention is to have reached 2,025 women by March next year. We are gathering, we are sharing. I don't have all the answers. None of us have all the answers, but together we can share our tools and our techniques so that women can then implement them and be intentional in how they walk on this planet. Last month, we talked about healthy boundaries as a way to enable peace. And then we went last week for the solstice. We were by the water. We were invited in by Her Space community in Ontario. And we had just a phenomenal time. It was so, 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 so beautiful. You know, when you see the image, some images, and you can't, and you have the feeling, and you can't actually capture it even on camera. Welcome, Georgina. Welcome, Amakaya. You can't. It stays in your mind. And so the image of the moon coming up over the horizon in the background of the water. We were on Lake Ontario. That image will stay with me forever. It was so beautiful, and it came up with, she was so magnificent, and I thought, oh my goodness, the moon is me. The moon is us. That's a mother. That is the mother energy. And then she just rose up in her brilliance. It was orange and yellow and just so brilliant. And I think we were drumming. Oh, I think I was talking at the time. And she came up. And then throughout the evening, You could see her just beautifully forming and just sat there with us. It was magnificent. So I want to thank her space for inviting us in, and for all the women. We had men as well holding space for us, which is always beautiful. And we actually spotlighted that experience. So our production, our tech team was there capturing the moment, and we'll share it with folks as quickly as we can. We're getting through these spotlights as quickly as we can. Hopefully, you saw this week's spotlight with Vida Shaw from York University. It was absolutely brilliant. And so in that solstice and coming off of the eclipse and for the full moon, we focused on gratitude as a way to get to peace. Today, we're going to talk about self-preservation as a pathway to peace. I know for me, self-preservation is critical. I give a lot. I give of myself a lot, as I know all of you do. Welcome, Georgina. Thank you for showing your face. It's always so good. We all give a lot. We give and we give and we give. And there's a lot of expectation also of us, right? Many of us are mothers, and if we're not mothers biologically, we're mothering a whole lot of people. That's kind of just how we do, right? And I'm seeing black faces here. So I know when we talk about African women, we're talking about we just take care of the community. We take care of everybody. And often we forget about ourselves. Often ourselves is the last people. We kind of give ourselves the crumbs, you know? I don't think that we sit and intentionally say, I'm going to be last and I'm going to give myself the crumbs. No, I don't believe any of us is that unloving. But because we get nurtured into this caring for everything and everybody and serving, we forget ourselves. And so I want to talk about the importance of self-preservation. The importance of self-preservation in the midst of giving, in the midst of serving, is really critical. This idea of rest, I've had a really busy and abundantly active, let me cancel busy because that sounds too busy for me, but certainly an abundantly active last 2 weeks especially, and taxing. The issues were pretty taxing, you know when sometimes things are just, it's not that it's a lot, but it's heavy. And so what I knew is that I needed to make sure that I pulled myself back and restored my energy so I was able to be giving from the full cup. You all know I talk about that all the time. We've got to give from the overflowing. We can't give from half. We can't even give from full, because that means we're also robbing not just ourselves, but the people who we're serving. So, and we have had a lot of stuff. Like, we're in the midst of a whole lot going on in the world. It feels like it's chaotic. I would say what I believe is happening is that the universe is rebalancing. And so it's a shaky, right? Some extreme things that we're seeing that seems chaotic and wrong and evil and, all of that. Our job as light bearers, and I'm seeing, and if for those who are on social media listening to us, I believe those of you who are here in the circle are here because you are light bearers being pulled to light, right? So those of us, especially those of us who are serving and those of us who are light bearers, we must ensure that we're giving from an overflowing cup, which means that self-preservation is critical. And I can hear, but it's difficult, it's hard. So I have some thoughts I want to share with you around self-preservation. But I want to hear from you. And before that, though, I want to go into a little bit of breath work to just open up our minds and our hearts as we speak and as we feel and think. So right where you are, if you're sitting, See if you can allow your bomb to kind of plant in the seeds. Yeah? Like that, so that you can feel your bomb. Small bombs and big bombs, just plant it in the seeds. Yeah? And if you are able to, plant your feet on the ground. So let Mother Earth hold you. So if we can imagine that the Iyamis, the mothers, the great mothers are in this circle with us and they're holding us. Let them hold us. So relax your shoulders. Just relax your shoulders as if there's no care. Just drop your shoulders. Relax your shoulders. Plant your feet as best as you can on the ground. Feel your beautiful hips and your buttocks seated. And bring all of your attention, if you can, to your heart, to your chest area. And just breathe. Just allow your breath to be your guide. And take your rhythm of an inhale and an exhale. And breathe. Watch your breath rise with your chest. And in your exhale, just watch your breath release. And we breathe. And we breathe. Conscious of your inhale and your exhale. And we breathe. Intending to open up your heart for the receiving. And we breathe. And we breathe. And we welcome in the mothers of the earth. We welcome in our mothers of the water. And we watch them rise out of the water and walk into the circle in all of their magnificence. We feel the mothers of the earth rise and cover our feet in the circle. And we breathe. Just breathe. And anything that happened before this moment, we release it. We just let it go in the breath. Because we know the only moment we have is this moment. This right now moment is our only moment, and we stay present to it. And we breathe, allowing the breath to center our vibration, opening up our hearts so we can receive, softening our hearts, allowing the vulnerability to be, because we know that we are safe in the arms of the mothers. Great Mother, come. Great mothers, come. Iyamis, come and be with us. And we breathe. Present, present. And we breathe. and we open up to the question, to our highest self. What do I need to know in this moment to support my self-preservation? And we listen as we breathe. We feel as we breathe. We open our inner eyes to see the answers or answer. We open up our ears to hear, our inner ears. And we just breathe. Spirit, you are welcome in this space. Give us what we need now. And I invite you to take this next cycle of breath as a collective cycle of breath. So we are going to consciously inhale together on 4 seconds, hold for 3, release on 4. Deep inhale. Hold and release. And we say, Ashe, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you. I hope that was as good for you as it was for me. I felt my cup filling up. And sometimes, my loves, that's all we need for the refilling. All we need for the refilling. So I want to just check in. This is a trauma-informed space, so speak if you want, as much as you want, as little as you want, or not at all. And all emotions are welcome. So my question for those of you who want to share, and you can share in the text if you want, is how are you preserving yourself as you move through your days? What's self-preservation for you?
I can offer that it's a combination of not listening to the ego in terms of fear of missing out. So I don't have to be at every place all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And also slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely interconnected, but so there's a conference that's happening today. I'm supposed to be presenting, and usually I'd be there, from the morning and be in it. And I was like, I'm going to come to Women for Peace.
Thank you for coming to Women for Peace.
Yeah.
And so, Kemba, how do you get there, though, that place of, I don't have to be everywhere. I can miss out, because I might not be missing out, actually. And slowing down, like, what takes you there?
It's a combination of, trusting spirit will have me in the right place at the right time. And that comes to being very grounded in my spirituality. And also, spirit is very ordered with me. So if I'm not in alignment, I will see the clues. My mind and my body will tell me that I'm doing too much.
Mm-hmm. 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 So we have to listen. What I'm hearing is the listening and paying attention to your body.
Yes.
Goodness, no, the body can't speak to us. Why? I know mine does. Thank you. Thank you, Kimba. Marcella wrote that taking breaks when you're at work, going for walks in nature, and watching the guilty pleasures, the young and the. I didn't even know that there was still Young and Restless happening. Okay, Marcella, I love it. And eating healthy food. Yes, slowing down. Marcella, I had no idea the Young and the Restless was still happening. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I'm a Netflix girl, so I get that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Ooh, anybody else? Guilty pleasures. Guilty pleasures are important pieces.
I will share. Um, for me, I pay attention to my hygiene. So, my spiritual hygiene, mental, emotional, physical hygiene. So, just like how I brush my teeth, wash my face, my spiritual hygiene, what am I doing to be well? Am I praying? Am I fasting? Am I meditating? I love DND, do not disturb. So that's really big for me. And I put maybe about 15 people who can bypass that. And because I serve a lot, I and pour a lot into people. So I just so the hygiene is huge and the maintenance of that and having that a part of my routine, just like brushing my teeth, washing my face, the muck out of my eye, when I wake up. When I wake up, what am I doing for the other parts of me? That's kind of the how. It looks differently different days, but the how is being very aware of the hygiene.
Mm-hmm. Give thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So spiritual hygiene. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I can share.
Yes,
Well,
Martha Ann and Marsha Ann, and
yeah,
thank you for joining us.
this is newness for me. The things that I have been doing religiously, like she talks about the whole hygiene. Yes, I do those things, but I don't do them with intention. I do them because I'm told to do them. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a space where I have to share with anybody, I may not do it. But to keep up appearances and make sure that I'm presentable, I do those things. So I'm just piggybacking on that to speak to doing those kind of things. But for me, I'm in a space where I'm trying to understand me and trying to love me. So it's a moment of discovery. So I can't highlight what I'm doing to preserve myself. But I think at this point, taking the time out to love myself is where I'm at.
I
I'm
love
starting
it.
from ground zero.
I love it.
Understanding my quirks, my idiosyncrasies, those things, understanding me fully, and then I'm going to take it from there. So I'm,
I love
I'm
it.
grateful for this space.
I
Thank you,
love
ladies.
I love it. And that's the core of it though, Marsha Ann. And we're going to talk about that. That's the core of it. The self-love is the core of it all. So I hear you say it's starting at ground zero, but I think it's the foundation. It's the everything, because if we don't love ourselves, then we think it's okay to just give all of ourselves, to constantly sacrifice ourselves. We come from a culture, and when I say we come from a culture, I'm speaking of this side of the world, where we are applauded and rewarded for sacrificing ourselves, for giving up all of us. Like, that's so great to be struggling and sacrificing. I saw that t-shirt a long time ago, because I don't think it's self-loving. And the core of, so the foundation of it all is self-love. So thank you for bringing that into the space, and hopefully we can feel and hear and receive that. Wonderful. So there's a note from Marcella that said, I don't think we are rewarded for doing so. It is expected. This is true. It is expected. It is expected. Amakaya, you want to share?
I just wanted to greetings everyone. I'm on the activities trail this morning with my daughter, so I didn't
Be
hear the
safe. Be
question.
safe. Mhm.
Yeah, just what was the question, please?
Oh, the question was how are we self-preserving and what is
Um,
self-preservation for us? So that was the
okay, I have
response.
a quick response. I have a quick response. I am much wiser now. I'm more refined in my thought process, and a wise person told me some time ago, Amakaya, maybe those periods of time of silence and what I was describing as darkness, maybe that is where you do the work of self-preservation, the work of connecting with spirit. And like a seed that's planted in the soil, sometimes um, I feel like I need to just protect my energy and be in silence. I'm not saying that like I don't do it for the length of time that maybe I used to, but it's very, very important to me. Those moments of silence, staying home. I've been gifted with a child, so in that sense, like I'm not on road as much as I used to be, and I'm grateful for that because I'm learning more about myself. And sometimes I feel like I start and then I have to start back, but it's okay, and I'm just also as a part of self-preservation always going for grace, like that is the number one thing, and just loving myself regardless of wherever I'm at. So that's my response.
Thank you. And stay safe on that road, please.
I'm
We're
home,
sending
but
you.
thank
Oh,
you.
you're
Yeah.
home. Okay.
Mhm.
So awesome. Anything else? So we have silence. Amakai just talked about silence, spiritual hygiene, that releasing of fear of missing out and really withdrawing and taking care of yourself first, and self-love, of course. Anything else anybody wants to add to this before we move on?
I'll share two things.
Mm-hmm.
One is some wisdom that someone shared, and this woman said that at every milestone birthday, like 30, 40, and I think she did this when she was 40, she realized that, look, you can really be very careful of your energy, and basically anybody who brings negative energy into her life, she basically decides, I don't need that in my life. So at this point on, basically, she very intentionally doesn't allow negative energy or people who bring negative energy, not bad days, etc. Everyone has bad days, everyone has down days, but people who consistently bring negative energy, she basically puts them aside. And I think that's a really, yeah, a really important thing to do in terms of cleansing our own energy space. And the
Beautiful.
second thing is surrendering. Quite often we feel as Black women, we feel we need to let me own it, to be in charge and to control and so on. And there's a wonderful release in realizing you don't have to do it all. And spirit will take care, and trusting. It's a big piece of trusting that you don't have to move yourself or be in all those spaces. Spirit will let what is supposed to happen happen. And it's a huge emotional, spiritual, and physical release, because it means that you kind of give yourself grace,
Mm-hmm.
and grace finds you in
Mm-hmm.
doing that. So,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Wow, thank you. So this is a new one. So every major milestone, this person is like, I'm gonna prune that tree. I'm gonna prune that tree, right? I love it. And so she does this inventory almost, right?
Yeah.
And then she prunes. No longer need this. This is no longer serving me.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
that's a very intentional And I don't know if I've ever heard it that way, but that's
Mhm.
an intent. What a beautiful birthday gift. Hey, baby girl. Oh my God. How are you, beautiful? How are you?
Mhm.
I know your name, but I bet these people don't know your
Say
name.
hi.
Can you tell us your name?
Adela Ife.
Adela Ife. Welcome, Adela Ife. We always are glad to have you in our space because you are not the woman of the future. You are the woman of present to teach us. So
Ashe.
we are so happy to hear you. And this piece around surrender, Kemi, and it's a little bit about what Kemba talked about as well, is that, but it takes trust, right? It takes trust. So I want to share a little bit with you what came to me. I was thinking this morning, there's so much to share about self-preservation. I do a whole day's workshop on this and a whole lesson on self-preservation. I learned this a very in my own journey, and it was difficult because self-preservation asks that I allow myself to receive. you know I allow myself to receive, and I allow myself to be supported. And that was a hard one for me because I walked for a long time with the strong black woman cape on my back kind of thing. So I didn't need anything, I didn't need anybody. I could do it all. I could do it all for everybody. And so that was a practice for me. And that practice started with me saying yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. You know? Anania, may I give this to you? Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. No, yes, thank you. Because I realized that, in fact, it was God, highest spirits, whatever we call it, Elodomariye, Jah, Ra, Shiva, Allah, was the one that is giving me the support in the form of this human that was in front of me. And so to say no would be to be saying no to God. Yeah? And I wasn't about that anymore. And so that was a big one. When I think about self-preservation, here is how I define this. I think self-preservation is the stewarding of oneself to have the resource to endure the future. So the stewarding of myself, the taking care of myself so that I can, in fact, have what I need, not just for now, but for the future. The stewarding of myself so that I can endure the gifts of serving others. So it's really, as I give to myself, it's really the giving to myself so that I can serve authentically, that I can serve honestly, that I can serve with integrity, and that I can serve wholesomely. So it's this feeding of myself so that I have to give to others. And that is so critical. So that's kind of my definition of this whole stewarding of self, of the whole self-preservation. And then there are two key, I call them principles, that is important. One is restoration, and two is protection. And so, what I mean when I say restoration, I'm talking about the filling up, the refueling of self. The refueling of self, the restoring of myself. And the first means of hi David, the first means of restoration is to know self. And just so everybody know, David has been coming in. David is a male identified person. He comes in and holds spaces for us. Most of the women who are here have been on other circles. You all always say yes to him staying and restoring. If anybody doesn't want David, we can always say go away, and he will. And you can just put that in the chat. But months over months, he comes and holds space. He doesn't say anything. He is holding space for the movement. So I just want to pause Make sure we're all good. New people on. Absolutely. And yes, David always says he'll leave because he will. Okay, so everybody seemed to be good. Stay with us, David. Yes, so this plus I think David is learning from the Women for Peace as well as he brings peace to himself and to the men that he is serving. So we love it. We love it for that. Yeah. So restoration, restoring ourselves and protection. And restoration for me begins with that self-knowing. You know, Audre Lorde talks about, and I love this quote, I'm bringing it up so that I can quote her well. She says that if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. So restoration begins, yes, thank you, Marcella. Restoration begins with self-knowing. When we know ourselves, Marcel, you want to put the name of the book in the chat so folks can grab it if they want? So when we talk about self-restoration, we're talking about knowing ourselves. If I know myself, if I know all parts of myself, if I know why I'm here, if I know the truth of who I am with all of my messed upness, with all of the ways that I may appear to be broken, but I'm not, with all of my history, with all of my experiences, if I know myself and acknowledge that all of those experiences, all of my history, all of my past, all of my present is part of what is forming me, and that I'm here for a divine contract. If I know that, I will honor myself enough to ensure that I'm always restoring, that I'm always filling up, that I'm always nurturing. And so on this piece of self-knowing, we must then go back. It's the Sankofa. I think I've shared this before. New learning for me, every day I'm learning. So we know the Sankofa. Many of us know the Sankofa. It's all people of African descent on here. So I know this is not new to you, right? And that the Sankofa means that we are going back to fetch. We're understanding who we are and bringing it into our future. But then recently, I think last year sometime, I also learned about another term, another African process called the Sankof. And the Sankof, from my understanding, again, my understanding based on who taught this to me, is this process of healing that happens, and specifically in East Africa is where this knowledge came from. This process of healing when you're bitten by a ticks. And so there are lots of these ticks and sandfly, I cannot call it ticks and sandfly because that's how I felt it to be, that then goes into your skin. And when it goes under your skin and goes into your skin, if it stays there, it can actually destroy your very being, right? It can destroy your body, and maybe it would be named as skin disease, maybe, I don't know. But our people learned how to correct this. And so what they do is they go in very methodically, I guess, and pull out that ticks or that sandfly. And it's important that you get rid of the whole thing, because if you don't get rid of the whole thing, it will take over your body and become dis-ease. The process is called Sankof. And it's the process of removing the thing that will destroy you. So when I think about that, this process of removing that which is not good for you, that which will destroy you, that which will eat you away, I feel that then we have to do both the Sankofa and the Sankofa together. So to get to the Sankofa, so we can truly understand the truth of ourselves and understand why we're here, we must make sure that we get rid of anything that doesn't serve us. We get rid of those things like the elder doing the pruning, that negative energy, that energy, not the person necessarily, but the energy. Because what I have come to know is that when we release ourselves of an energy that shows up in our body, all bodies that carry that energy is also released and does not come to us. Because sometimes we change the body, but we keep the energy. And so different bodies keep showing up in our experiences with the same energy. Do you get me? Right? So I'm thinking I love that process that elder does on their solar return each year. So if we can then make sure for the process of restoration that we are removing from our experience the habits, the behaviors, the patterns that are not serving our greater good, then it will allow us the space to go back and allow the principle of Sankofa to lead our future and our present. I see your hand up, Amakaya.
Yes, thank you. I just have a question because well, I don't know. For me, does that mean a literal, and maybe Kemi, you and I can talk offline if it's extensive, but does that mean like you go through your phone sort of deal and just remove people? Like, is that as literal as we're talking in terms of the process of removing those people, that energy? Because I appreciate what is being said. I've never done it though. And I literally have numbers of people that still can connect to me some way, somehow, through different ways. They don't, but maybe I need to be more intentional and removing their numbers and forms of contact. I'm not like, I don't know. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's what you want it to be. This person basically just makes sure that interactions with those people are very limited.
Okay.
If they happen at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I
Thank you.
also think that's an excellent answer, Kemi. And I also think that, I love the responses, what you want it to be. Because what has been given to us is this model, and then we can make it serve us in the best way possible. So I like that. Kemba, you want to respond as well?
This is so great. I love this topic. Okay, I know that Spirit tells us when those people and how those people need to be released. And sometimes for me, I am no longer disobedient when I hear those messages. And I give thanks for the obedience to receive that. It's not a judgment on the person. It's just that our relationship has changed. And for my self-preservation, that we need to take a different path. And I can still love them. This is the message for me, that I can still love them from afar, but I don't need to be in their physical space or in their consciousness in a particular way.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Because, those of you who have been around me know I don't believe in cutting off people and cutting people and chopping them, right? I don't do X's, but energetically being conscious of how I move in this world, then, and what I need for myself and where I am at this point in my life experience may not have the space for that energy, right? And so again, always it's the energy, because we can say we're cutting off people, but we're keeping that energy in our own experience and even in our own behaviors. And last time we talked about boundaries, and just remembering that when we create a boundary with someone, we have to also practice that same boundary for ourselves, right? Because do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing, does not support us. I thank you. I love this conversation. Thank you very much. There's something in the chat, so I just want to check. And then I know Sarah is telling me that folks are online, so I just want to make sure that if there is anything for people that people are asking, just let us know, Sarah. So thank you. So yes, so the other one is about so the first one about self-restoration, right? Ensuring that we are restoring, we're in restoration all the time, and the only way to know that is, of course, to remember who we are. This whole idea of self-knowing. And there are 5 questions that I like to ask. I ask us to ask ourselves in our remembering. These are not original to me. These are old wisdom teachings, right? These are not original to me at all. I have framed it in different ways, but there's 5 questions. Who am I? How did I come to be who I am? So telling our origin story is very important. Am I really who I think I am? And then what is my purpose in this lifetime? In the I am. What is my purpose? Why am I here at this time? Of all the times for me to be on this planet, why am I here present? Because lots of people are no longer here, or lots of people didn't come. Why am I here at this time? And then last question is, am I living my purpose? Am I living my purpose? And I'm not asking you to answer any of these questions, but I want you every now and again, this check-in, who am I? Am I who I think I am? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And am I living my purpose? Or am I living somebody else's definition of me? Back to Audre Lorde's comments. And those are, again, just for us as we go through this month of self-restoration, the more we know who we are, is the less we will be who we're not. The more we know who we are and why we are, is the less we will be concerned with who others think we should be. The more we know who we are and why we are and our purpose on this planet, is the less concerned we will be at receiving approval or being labeled in a particular way and staying in that label. And the more we will be able to bring peace to our lives. It is in the knowing so that we can stay restored all the time. And then the other thing I want to talk about is then it's the protection piece, right? And I think we went into that a little bit already about protecting ourselves. When we talk about, negative energies and listen, let me be clear when we say negative energy. We're talking about low vibration, right? Because I know folks, we throw this thing around a lot, negative energy, and I don't want to be negative energy. I don't want to be negative energy. It's about vibration. And the higher the vibration is, the faster and stronger we're able to move with our intentions, right? It's that simple. So if the vibration is low, then we are there is a stuckness that happens, right? It's like a water, it's like unclean water that just sits and it's stagnant. But with the water that is clean and the water that's pure, then it's just flowing. It's easy to flow. That's really what we're talking about. We're talking about energies that is vibrating so low that it clogs the movement. That's what we're talking about. So the higher we raise our vibration is the more we're able to protect our peace. The higher we raise our vibration, that overflowing place that I talked about, is the less likely actually it is for low vibration to come into your space. Because low vibration energy cannot last. It cannot survive in high vibration spaces. It just won't. It will be just too much. So it will shrink. So our job then is to keep our vibration as high as we possibly can. And listen, we're living on planet Earth and we're still in this physical body, so it won't be there all the time, right? There will be fluctuation, right? So usually what I say to myself is, how long is my higher vibration? How often is my higher vibration? And how quickly can I move from this low vibration down here to the higher vibration? So when we think about low vibration, we think about feelings and experiencing and expressions of shame and guilt, right? And pretense and so on. And we're thinking about high vibration, then we're going up to that peaceful place, that joy vibration. So in this place of protection, we're doing things and we're moving in an energy that is supporting us to rise. And that doesn't even mean speaking or doing anything. Sometimes it's just how we feel. So the intention is always to be vibrating higher and higher all the time. In this high vibration, we're able to protect ourselves. So then I can hear, Anania, how do you keep this high vibration? How do you do that? So I want to just share with you, as I walk on this planet in the same ways that you're walking, with the same challenges that you're facing, right? How I move through them. And I think a couple of people talked about it before. And one of them is, it's so critical to me how I wake up, how I start my day. And I must start my day with spirit. I must start my day with my highest consciousness, starting my day with spirit. And whatever your practice is, I'm an African spiritualist, right? So altar, smudging, blessing my ori, blessing my head is critical for me. Constantly blessing myself. I don't have to have somebody bless me. I can bless myself. I can simply ask spirit to guide my eyes. The practice we did when we just came in, to guide my eyes, to guide my ears, to guide my mouth, to protect me. I can do it, and you can pray in whatever way that you pray. But that's important for me, to start my day that way. Whether it's 15 minutes or it's half an hour or it's 1 hour, all of us have different lives. To start my day with affirming thoughts, affirming reading, affirming music, that's critical for me, because that frames how I move through the world and where my vibration is and what energies then can come into my space. Yeah? As I go through the day, I take pit stops. Somebody taught me this some while ago and I love it. So as I go through my day, and I have it on my calendar, just like I have meetings, I have pause, I have walk, I have go for a walk, time for lunch, time for time to breathe, time to drink. Sometimes I even put it on my calendar to drink my water. Thank you, Athora. And especially in this last 2 weeks where I was sharing with you, was a very heavy last 2 weeks. It was really important that I fill my body with water and live food. But it's more than the water and the live food. It's also what I put into my mind, right? It's what I put into my mind. I go through months of not listening to the news. And I'm not left out. I still know what's happening in the world, but it's not feeding me. It's not feeding me. So I consciously, I'm intentional about what comes into my mind. I'm intentional about what comes into my emotional space as best as I can. I am intentional about what comes into my physical aura. And then the same way I wake up is important about how I go to bed. How am I going to bed? How am I must go to bed in joy. I love to laugh. So I've had a ritual of going to bed with comedy for a long time now. The craziest comedies that you could ever think of, right? People laugh at me because my comedy is a little out there, but it makes me laugh, right? It makes me laugh. Sometimes I'll just play a video of my grandson because he was doing something weird that makes me laugh. But I go to bed with that intention, and I ask to intentionally allow my sleeping consciousness to be filled with grace. And for me so last night as I was going to bed, Spirit, bring to me what it is that I am to share today. Right? So I have an intimate relationship with my spirit self. And you can define that however you define that. But that's what I would offer you. Pay attention to how you go to bed. Pay attention to how you wake up. All those things, so I don't know who's listening. And usually I only share this in my intimate groups. But I want to share with you, be mindful of what you have under your bed. Make sure under your bed, because your sleeping is so critical. Make sure what you have under your bed, under your bed is cleared out. Don't have all these cluttered things. I know people use it for storage. Not a good thing. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that to your consciousness. Yeah? But I put a glass of water under my bed. Because water represents higher consciousness, but it also holds energy that you don't necessarily want to be in your space, right? So the going to bed, the waking up is important. And then as you go through your day, making sure that you're paying attention, that you're mindful. And I know we're going very fast a lot, but pay attention to that. Keep yourself in right mind. Keep yourself in right as best as you can. And it's a practice, right? I've been in this practice for 20 years, y'all. So, I have some things that are kind of embedded right now. And you may be at whatever point in your journey you're on. But maintain your high vibration and teach people how to treat you. Teach people how to treat you. And the way we do that is by treating ourselves with honor, respect, integrity. Treat ourselves in those ways, and in so doing, we're teaching people how to treat us. People only treat us based on how we have taught them to treat us. We must have boundaries. And then what else I want to share with you? As best as you can, make sure that you're diffusing chaos and confusion and release grievances. You get into joy and peace through forgiveness, self-forgiveness especially. Self-forgiveness. So self-forgiveness, releasing anything that doesn't serve you, being mindful of your daily activities, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Be mindful of how you go to bed and how you rise. And lastly, I just want to say, please, 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 women, laugh at yourself, no man. Laugh at yourself. Just laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself. So, Athora, of course, is asking me, how do we practice self forgiveness? So, I'll share with you like my favorite thing that you may choose to do, and then I'm going to wrap up. So, take this on if you're up to it, and put yourself through a 70 by 7 self forgiveness. And this was taught to me many, many years ago. And I use it a lot, and I teach it to those who are around me. So decide on a day to start. It's kind of like a cleanse. You know, do a 7-day cleanse. And begin with this statement, 35 of them in the morning, 35 of them in the evening. And the statement is, I forgive myself for judging myself. And whatever comes up for you, I forgive myself for judging myself as not being self-loving. I forgive myself for judging myself of hate. I forgive myself for judging myself for always of being approved of. I forgive myself for judging myself as stupid. I forgive myself for judging myself as not beautiful. Whatever that is, whatever it is for you. But write what comes up. And sometimes it's the same thing coming up all the time. But write it down 35 times. Then you do the same thing in the evening 35 times. Now you have 70 statements, and they might be the same statements. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. At the end of each day, also write 9 statements of appreciation. I appreciate myself for, and just complete that. Might be appreciate myself for drinking 8 glasses of water today. Whatever comes up for you. Don't complicate it. Do not complicate it. Allow it to be simple and organic. And do that for 7 days consecutively. Try it. In your self-forgiveness, my loves, you are also forgiving others. In your self-forgiveness, you're forgiving others. Because your unforgiveness of others is showing up in your experience. Once we release others, we also release ourselves. Your unforgiveness of others is showing up in your experience. So release yourself. You are doing it the same way you're also releasing others. And do the best that you can with that process. And when you are complete, do a ritual that gets rid of your forgiveness. You know, burn it, bury it, put it in the forest, let the Mother Earth take it. But don't forget also your appreciation, because that's really important. And in my experience, 20 years of doing this work, I find that women actually find it easier to do the forgiveness than they do the appreciation. And the self-appreciation is only 9, and it's at the end of the day. And many women find that difficult, again, because of the pressure we put on ourselves. And we don't see ourselves. And we don't see the power of ourselves. And we don't see our awesomeness and our magnificence. So it is my prayer that you receive something today. That something that was shared in this circle is supporting you. Amakaya has her hand up, so we're going to take Amakaya.
Just a quick question, because I remember years ago when I first did this process, I completely overthought the entire thing. So if we don't complete the 35 in the morning and then in the night, do we have to restart from day one?
So usually, Amakaya, if somebody is in process with me and we're going to be together for a while and I'm supporting them, I would say start over.
Yeah, okay.
But because that's the ideal thing. The ideal thing is to do it consecutively for 7 days. So you're really cleaning. It's like you're doing a fast, or you're doing a physical cleanse. And it's important that you be consistent with the physical cleanse, because if you don't complete it, then you've started something and then caused clogging. Now you're constipated, right?
Okay.
So we don't want you to be constipated. So the best thing is to make sure that you're completing it. So if you missed a day, then just start all over again. And you just keep starting over until you do it consecutively. And the reason that I say I often don't put that part in Amakai, but clearly people need to hear that or you wouldn't have said it, is because sometimes you need support, right? And so usually I do
Yeah.
it in an environment where I'm able to support people. But if you need support, then, get an accountability. Do it with somebody else. Get a sister and do it with, and say,
Mm,
we're going to do this. Well, just like how we're doing when we're
that
doing
helps.
boot camps or we're doing cleansing or whatever. The
Mhm.
more you have, if you have people with you to hold you accountable, it's likely you're going to do it, right? I know
Yeah, yeah,
that's a
for
deep
sure.
truth because there are some things I ain't that disciplined in. So usually if you have somebody, it makes it easier. So get a companion and say, listen, let's clean up this emotional shit, man. Let's just get rid of this thing. So right?
Okay,
Let's just clean up.
thank you.
So thank you, Amakai. If you mentioned it, then it needs to be said. So I
I
would
only
say,
mentioned it because I don't, well, let me not say what I want. I want others to know that you don't have to overthink it, as you said. Like, just literally, whatever the thoughts are, just put them down. Because I remember, and I'll never forget it, is after the process, every time I looked, especially at women, I it shaped differently how I looked at other women and then also how I looked at myself. And the things that I thought before were not the things that I thought afterwards, right? And those judgments, it didn't wash away. It wasn't like, that like that. But I was more conscious of every thought and the way I thought about myself and other people. And I appreciate you for sharing this with us because it is really impactful.
yes. And I would say before you start, take a couple of cleansing breath, go into this, treat this as a sacred ritual, right? So go into it with beautiful breaths, do your prayers, whatever you do, and then you start it. And it might get difficult about day 3 because shit starts to come up, right? Because you're cleaning out, so things start to come up. That's why it's good to have an accountability partner. But also, you all have my email, right? So if you want, you can just send me a note, and I'll make the best time I possibly can, or I'll turn you over to somebody else. I won't. I'm joking. But if it gets there, then just send me a note. You can find me anywhere, and you all have my email because you registered. So it is 11:19. I want to send you off again, praying that you got something that will support your shifting. I thank you. Please let other women know the movement is growing really strong. I'm very, very, very happy. The movement, Amakai is saying she's willing to partner with folks. So the movement is growing. This actually is the smallest number we've seen, Sarah. So I think it's a Facebook thing, though. I think it's a Facebook thing. But the good news is that people can access it, share with others. We're sending people to nominate for Spotlight. We're spotlighting folks. We're spotlighting organizations. We're spotlighting groups and movements. And we are going to continue to do this as best as we can. I love you. If nobody told you they love you today, know that I love you. I love you because you are woman. I know you're magnificent. I know you're powerful beyond measures. I know that cauldron that sits in your womb can make magic happen simply in your shift in perception. I know you to be powerful. And so walk good, go forth and prosper. Love upon you. And thank you, my brother, for always holding space for us. Thank you, Sarah, for managing us from behind. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Amakaya, you're still on? I just saw your message.
Oh yeah,
For the Facebook Live, it's on her Facebook, Anania Ayodele.
yes.
You should get an email with it too. I sent out an email with the link as well.
Oh, it's like a group.
No, it's Facebook Live. So
Oh, okay.
this same session was live on Facebook.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
what
know
she was
that.
saying.
Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
Okay.
good to know. Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome. Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.
Blessings.
Bye.
You
Mhm.
too.